Welcome to the fairest show on television. First tonight, the first Republican debate starts 26 hours from now. And let me tell you right here, what's going to happen 26 hours from now in Milwaukee largely doesn't matter. You might have heard Donald Trump isn't attending the debate, which means fewer people will watch, but that's not the biggest reason it won't matter. Debates aren't about people watching necessarily. It's about the clips on social media and news platforms the next day and through the weekend. The discussion on the Sunday shows. Way more people watch all the coverage of the debate than watch the debate. And once again, Mr. Trump's understanding of the media wins again. He will turn himself into the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta on Thursday. Thus, all day Thursday, we will hear breathless coverage of bracing for violence and whether or not Donald Trump will have a mugshot. The president has also reportedly filmed an interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. It's expected to air on the night of the debate, although Team Trump hasn't confirmed anything. That largely doesn't matter either. Tucker's ratings on Twitter are now going through the floor. On the left is what your TV will look like tomorrow night during the debate. One network talking with GOP candidates, and then everyone else talking about Trump's plans to surrender. Thursday mornings, your TV will look like this. Every single network going nonstop with Trump's surrender in Georgia. It will be like the Republican debate didn't happen. So thus, the debate tomorrow night may not matter because nobody's going to talk about it. Voters won't see the clips. Nobody will care. Sean Spicer is with us, former Trump White House press secretary. Sean, I know you worked for President Trump and sort of have seen this playbook and his ability to understand how the media works better than ever. Am I on to something that largely what's said tomorrow night in the arena behind you will be interesting maybe, but not all that important in the political conversation come Thursday?
Yeah, I agree with your analysis in terms of what happens Thursday morning, but I would take it one step further. When you look at where things are in the polls, Trump well in advance of 50% nationally, 40-plus point lead among his closest competitor. My bigger point beyond the Thursday aspect of this, which I agree with you on, is how many people are looking to be persuaded, are open. I just don't know that when you take 8 candidates, put them on a stage, what they collectively, if you divide the time, what are they getting, like a minute and 20 seconds apiece? I just don't know that there's that much time to make a persuasive case, and therefore I don't know how impactful a debate is at this point when you've got ostensibly 8 candidates, 6 of whom most Americans could never identify if they had to.
Well, you say most could, and I know you did that at the Iowa State Fair. Asked voters who they could identify. It was a great move, and obviously you're looking forward to seeing it on the Sean Spicer show. I think about the other issue for tomorrow night, which is that the moderators are going to have to ask about Donald Trump, just because that's sort of the way this is going to go. If they didn't, they would be filleted. And the candidates themselves seem to be tripping over themselves for answers on this issue. Take a listen to just some of them.
I don't want to criticize Trump is because everybody else from, networks like the one we're on right now on down are doing plenty good job of making up attacks that shouldn't even exist.
He's both afraid of me and he's afraid of defending his record.
I would have preferred that these matters be left to the judgment of the American people.
The voters get to decide who runs for office in America.
I don't think they're going to look kindly on somebody that thinks they don't have to earn it.
I'm going to support the nominee of the party. I do not expect it to be Donald Trump.
He's a wide lead because he dominates the conversation. And I think the press, and I don't want to fault the press, but that's all they want to talk about.
All right, so which came first, the chicken or the egg of hating Donald Trump by the press, or the press realizing that Donald Trump rates, therefore they cover him?
Look, I ran the debates in 2015, during the 2015-2016 cycle. I feel like we could have taken these clips and pushed them back 6 years ago, and they would have been the same. This was the same dynamic then, Trump going into these debates, being the dominating figure, people trying to figure out how to tackle him, whether to come straight at him, whether to go around him, whether to ignore him. And we're seeing the same dynamic play out. I think the difference is that he was the nominee of the party twice before. I would argue this. If you were on the stage tomorrow night and you barely made it, which is what a few of them did by barely getting 1%, Most people need a name tag to identify some of these folks. I would argue that your time is better used promoting yourself, talking about how you're going to secure the border, take on China, get the country back on track.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.